Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the soul. God doesn't waste pain. If you're standing here right now, looking back at the wreckage of a relationship with a narcissist, wondering what the hell just happened, I want you to understand this. You didn't lose. You got delivered. That separation wasn't an accident. It was divine intervention. You were praying for peace, for clarity, for love, and God answered. But sometimes the answer doesn't come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes it comes wrapped in disruption, because God knew what you couldn't see. That person was draining you, manipulating you, molding you into someone smaller than your calling. So God stepped in and said, enough. You see, when a narcissist loses control over you, they'll say you change. But the truth is, you finally woke up. You stopped shrinking. You stopped explaining. You stopped tolerating. And that moment, that holy separation, is where judgment begins. But judgment isn't about revenge. It's not about punishment. It's about correction, alignment, truth. It's about the universe restoring what was out of order. Because when you're connected to someone who thrives on control and confusion, you forget who you are. You stop trusting your instincts. You start questioning your worth. But God is in the business of bringing people back to themselves. So let's be clear, this isn't your downfall, this is your rise. You're not damaged, you're being refined. You're not broken, you're being built. What you went through didn't break you, it revealed you. It showed you your strength, your resilience, your power to choose you. And now that you're free, you're going to start walking differently. Talking differently, loving differently. Why? Because judgment has begun, and this time it's not on your head. It's on anything that tried to dim your light. You are stepping into divine justice. Now is not the time to play small. Now is not the time to go quiet. This is your moment to stand up and say, no more. I'm not available for abuse. I'm not signing up for confusion. I don't entertain chaos anymore. You are stepping into a new season, one that's built on truth, on peace, on freedom. You're not just surviving, you're about to thrive. Because when God removes someone from your life, He replaces the void with vision. He replaces the pain with purpose. So if you're still holding on to shame, guilt, or confusion, let it go. It's not yours to carry anymore. God already made the call. The judgment has been declared, and now it's time for you to walk out of the ashes and into your assignment. You are not what happened to you, you are what you choose to become. And right now, you're choosing power, clarity, and unstoppable growth. Welcome to your comeback, and let's be honest, there's a part of you that's still replaying the past, the gaslighting, the confusion. The highs that felt like love and the lows that felt like hell. That's trauma trying to make sense of the chaos. But let me remind you, you're not crazy. You were just conditioned to ignore your intuition. Narcissists don't need you healed, they need you uncertain. They want your loyalty, not your liberty. But now that God has torn that veil off, you can finally see clearly, and once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. That's why this is the beginning of judgment, not just on them, but also on the patterns in your life that allowed toxicity to live rent, free in your mind and heart. Now it's time to shift from survival to strategy. It's time to stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, what does this make possible for me? You have been released from a prison that didn't have bars, it had manipulation, charm, control, and confusion. And now you've been handed the key, so take it, use it. Don't waste your freedom, build something with it. Rebuild your confidence, reconnect with your voice, redefine your standards, because the next chapter of your life, it won't be written by trauma. It will be written by truth. Let me tell you something powerful. The old you, the one who tolerated crumbs, who silenced themselves to keep the peace, who bent over backwards to earn love, that version of you doesn't exist anymore. They died in the fire, and what walked out of that fire is a warrior, someone who is no longer codependent on chaos, someone who understands that peace isn't boring, it's holy, someone who knows that love doesn't hurt, it heals. You've been upgraded, even if it still feels raw, because the pain you feel now, that's the stretching that happens when your soul finally has room to breathe. It's the discomfort of unfamiliar freedom. But lean into it. This is growth, and growth is never gentle. It's gritty, it's real, and it's sacred, and God's hand is still on you. He didn't just pull you out, He's walking you through. So what's next? It's time to make a decision. Will you go back to what broke you, or will you rise into what you were born to become? Will you keep explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, or will you surround yourself with those who see your light without needing it to serve their ego? You get to choose now, and that, my friend, is the ultimate power. Choice. This is your moment. You are no longer living under the emotional dictatorship of a narcissist. You are free. You are chosen. And you are unstoppable. Judgment has begun, and this time it's divine alignment, it's favor, it's restoration. The same God who pulled you out will now pull you up. So rise, speak, build, heal, because the best revenge isn't retaliation, it's resurrection. Now listen to me. The narcissist thought they ended you, thought they could control the narrative, but here's what they didn't expect. They were part of your awakening. They were the fire, but you're the gold that came out of it. Don't resent the fire, thank it, because it proved that you're forged, not fragile, that you can't be broken, only rebuilt stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to the enemy's agenda than ever before. What tried to destroy you just handed you your calling, and you're not alone. There's a whole army of people walking out of dark, manipulative relationships right now, and you are the voice they need. Your healing isn't just about you. It's a roadmap for others still stuck in the cycle. You get to be proof that survival is real, that peace is possible, that there is life after emotional captivity. But to lead others out, you've got to own your freedom first. No more guilt, no more looking back. You don't owe them closure, you owe yourself permission to move forward. And here's the truth that will change everything. What God removes, He always replaces. And not with something less, with something aligned, something healthy, something worthy of the new you. You didn't go through all that pain just to end up settling. You didn't survive narcissistic abuse just to play small and stay safe. No, now it's time to receive not just love from others, but from yourself, from God, from life itself. So get clear. What are your new boundaries? What are your new standards? What kind of life are you no longer tolerating, and what kind are you now committed to building? This isn't about waiting anymore. This is about rising. This is about becoming. This is about walking with power, not permission, because judgment began the moment you chose you, the moment you said, I deserve more than this. That was divine. That was sacred. That was you returning home to yourself. And now you lead, now you build, now you thrive. This is your comeback, and it's not quiet. It's loud, it's bold, it's holy. So stand tall, walk forward, and never forget. You didn't just survive the narcissist, you outgrew them. And the moment God removed them, He revealed the real you, unapologetic, unshakable, unstoppable. And now that you're out of it, now that you're breathing air that isn't filtered through someone else's manipulation, something begins to happen in you. You remember who you are. Not the version of you they tried to program, not the watered-down second, guessing constantly, apologizing version. I'm talking about the real you, the you that existed before the gaslighting, before the guilt trips, before the walking on eggshells life became your normal. That version is coming back online, and she's not asking for permission this time. You start to speak differently. You're no longer defending your truth, you're declaring it. You're no longer tiptoeing around dysfunction, you're drawing the line and holding it with power. That's judgment, that's the divine accountability system stepping in and saying, no more cycles, no more loops, we're closing this chapter for good. And you're not angry, you're awake. You're not bitter, you're better. Because what they meant for harm, God used for healing. And now you're walking in wisdom that you paid for. And let's be real, wisdom bought with pain is wisdom that sticks. You no longer seek validation because you've realized that the approval of people who only loved you when you were small was never love. It was control, and you're done performing, done pretending. Done playing roles in other people's dysfunctions, because here's the truth: you weren't too sensitive, you weren't too much, you were just too real for someone committed to illusion. That was never your fault. It was your clarity waiting to surface. Now, this part of the journey, this is where you build the life you were too distracted to build before. You heal not just to move on, but to move up. You surround yourself with people who recognize your worth without you having to explain it. You create space so the right people, whole, healthy, spiritually aligned people, can finally find you. And most importantly, you rebuild your relationship with yourself. Because when you love you fully, completely, fiercely, you stop accepting anything that contradicts that love. And the enemy, whether spiritual or human, they don't know what to do with someone who's healed. Someone who knows their value, someone who knows they're chosen. You become untouchable, not because life is easy, but because you are anchored, rooted, unshakable. And that's where your true legacy begins. Because the old story, the one where you needed someone else to validate your existence, to fill your void, to keep you safe, that's done. God didn't just pull you away from the narcissist to protect you. He did it to position you. You're now standing at the start of something entirely new, a life led by truth, not trauma. So now that you've been set free, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically, you've got a responsibility, not to the past, not to them, to yourself, to your future, to the generations that will come after you. Because you're healing, it's not just about getting over it, it's about ending a cycle. You're not just surviving the narcissist, you're breaking a generational chain. And when you break a chain, you don't walk away quietly, you walk forward like a warrior who just won a war. Now your legacy begins. You stop hiding your story. You stop shrinking your voice. You stop pretending that your survival wasn't miraculous. It was. You lived through what others didn't escape. You held on when you didn't know how. You carried yourself through nights where no one saw the tears. That was strength. That was spirit. That was God in motion. And now you use it. You use your story to shine light in places others are still afraid to walk through. You show people what it looks like to leave the prison and build a palace. You lead with integrity, with authenticity, with a fire in your soul that no narcissist could ever manipulate again. That's judgment not in the form of punishment for them, but in the form of redemption for you. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what am I building with my breakthrough? Are you just going to survive and stay safe? Or are you going to rise and build a life that reflects your divine value? Because this isn't just about healing, this is about vision. It's about stepping into the arena with boldness, with standards, with boundaries, with truth. You don't walk the same anymore. You don't talk the same anymore. You've been through too much to go back to ordinary. You're not confused, you're clear. You're not desperate, you're discerning. You're not angry, you're activated. And from this moment on, you live like someone who's been chosen because you have. Chosen to rise, chosen to lead, chosen to love not just others, but yourself. You don't chase closure. You don't beg for validation. You don't shrink into the shadows just because someone else can't handle your light. That's over. That's done. From this moment forward, you live with fire in your belly, clarity in your mind, and peace in your heart. That's the new version of you. That's the you who came through hell and didn't just walk out. You kicked the doors down. You are free, you are aligned, and you are unstoppable. Now go live like it. So here we are standing at the edge of everything you've been through, and I want you to hear this loud and clear. You made it. You were dragged through emotional warfare. You were lied to, devalued, gaslit, and guilt, tripped. You questioned your sanity. You lost pieces of yourself trying to hold on to someone who was never holding onto you, just holding power over you. You spent nights crying in silence, smiling in public, and apologizing for things that weren't your fault. And still you made it. Let that sink in. Because survival in a relationship with a narcissist isn't just survival, it's a spiritual rebirth. God saw you. He heard the prayers you whispered when no one was looking. The God help me. Prayers, the God show me. Cries, the God is it me. Doubts. And instead of giving you more clarity through conversation, he gave you confirmation through separation. Because sometimes the most loving thing God can do is remove. It doesn't feel like love at first, it feels like loss. But looking back now, that was divine judgment in your favor. That was God rescuing his child from a soul. Sucking connection dressed up as love. And when God removes someone from your life, it's not just for your protection, it's for your positioning. You weren't meant to stay in survival mode. You were meant to build, to lead, to love without fear. To thrive in freedom, not beg for scraps of affection, walking on emotional landmines, trading your worth for temporary validation. No more. You didn't go through all that to shrink. You didn't come this far to settle. This is your time, and it starts with a decision, the most important one you'll ever make, to stop living like you're still in chains that God already broke. It's time to unlearn the lies. It's time to stop making excuses for other people's inability to love you. It's time to stop calling trauma connection. It's time to stop thinking your softness is weakness. It's not. Your heart is not your flaw, it's your force. Because listen, the narcissist didn't break you, they revealed you. They showed you what you will never allow again. They taught you what manipulation feels like. They forced you to meet the warrior inside you, that version of you, the one that finally said, I'm done. That version is the real you, the you that is awake, the you that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't play small just to keep someone else from feeling insecure. You are awake now, and when you wake up from a narcissistic bond, you don't just open your eyes, you see everything. You see who was never for you. You see who you were pretending to be just to be loved. You see the ways you silenced your own voice just to keep the peace. But now you're building a different life. Now, peace isn't a fantasy, it's your requirement. Now, boundaries aren't negotiable, they're spiritual armor. Now, love doesn't come wrapped in fear, it comes wrapped in truth, and it starts with how you treat you. Because listen, if you don't love you, you'll keep attracting people who confirm your own self-abandonment. That season is over. You're not a prisoner anymore. You're not confused anymore. You're not in survival mode anymore. You're home with yourself. And that's where judgment truly begins, not with revenge, but with realignment. Judgment means truth is coming to light. Judgment means the lies you believed about yourself are being uprooted and replaced with power. Judgment means God is not just closing doors, he's opening gates. You are being positioned for purpose, for peace, for people who pour into you, not pull from you. But before you walk into that next chapter, I need you to do something critical. Release. Release the anger, release the guilt, release the fantasy of who they could have been. That version doesn't exist and you don't need it to. What you need now is full emotional ownership, not blame, not bitterness. But ownership, the kind that says, yes, I tolerated too much. But now I've learned, and I'll never choose that version of myself again. This is your moment. The moment where survival becomes strategy. Where healing becomes leadership, where pain becomes power, and not just for you, for everyone who's going to be impacted by the new version of you. Because your story, it's not shameful, it's sacred. You are not a victim of your past. You are the evidence that even the most toxic environments can't stop what God has ordained. Your life now becomes a light. You are the cycle, breaker in your bloodline. You are the interruption in the pattern of pain. You are the answer to your younger self's prayer, and now you're walking in truth, in clarity, in boundaries, in holy confidence. This is what freedom feels like. You don't explain your worth anymore. You don't fear abandonment anymore. You don't chase what's beneath you anymore. You live with standards, not wounds. You lead with purpose, not fear. You speak from healing, not performance. You show up for yourself every single day because you've tasted what life is like when you abandon yourself and you refuse to go back. So today, as we close, make a vow, not to me, not to anyone else. To yourself, Vow to never go blind to red flags again. Vow to never betray yourself just to feel temporarily loved. Vow to honor the woman or man you've become. Vow to protect your peace like it's sacred because it is. Let the narcissist go, let the past go, let the shame go, walk forward, because judgment has come, the chains are broken, and your rise begins now. You're not the same, you're transformed, and the world better get ready. You're no longer surviving the storm, you are the storm.